Hi guys, and this is the video on the inequalities concept check that we took a few days ago. So basically, if you want to retake this test, you need to watch the video, watch the questions that you missed, make sure you write down exactly what I do and that you understand how to do them. Once you've written them down and you've listened to what I have to say, if you still don't understand, then you can come in and talk to me and ask me a question. Okay, because overall this quiz was more about the equations than the actual inequality part. All right, so I'm going to do one problem at a time. If you didn't get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wrong, something like that, you can just fast forward to the ones that you got wrong. All right, so number 1. Okay, a lot of people miss this one for this reason. This is 51 is less than or equal to x minus a negative 49. If you have two negative numbers, a negative times a negative is a positive. So this changes into 51 is less than or equal to x plus 49. Right, so from this point, we're going to subtract 49, right? This gives us 0. Then we have x is greater than or equal to 2. You also could have written it as this, okay? Right, number 2. Most everybody got this one correct. This one was fairly simple. So you're going to add 6 to this side, and then add 6 to that side. So we get r is less than 1. Okay, that one's pretty simple. Okay, so here we've got an equation. It's an inequality, but you solve it just like an equation with variables on both sides. Remember, when we're dealing with variables, we want to try to keep positive numbers because then you don't have to deal with the switching of the inequality sign. So in order to do that, we're going to subtract 11a from this side and subtract 11a from the other side. So that gives us negative 3 plus a is less than negative 4. All right, so we have our a on the side that we want it. So now we're going to add 3 and add 3. So that gives us a is less than negative 1. All right, number 4. This one was a doozy. A lot of you guys missed this, and the reason why is because you saw the problem as negative 3/10 multiplied by d, but it's not multiplied. It's got that addition sign. Okay, there was a question on the homework that was exactly like this. We want to solve for d, so we're going to get rid of the 3/10 by adding it, doing the inverse. Okay, so negative 3/10 plus 3/10 is 0, so we're left with d is less than 9 plus 3 is 12/10. That could also have been d is less than 6/5. You also could have written d is less than 1 1/5, and you could have done a decimal as well. All right, number 5. Okay, this one freaked y'all out because of the 3 on the bottom. Remember, if you want to get rid of something, you're always going to do the opposite. We are dividing by a 3 here. So in order to get rid of it, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to multiply this side by 3, because now my 3 and my 3 cancel. If I multiply my left side by 3, I have to multiply my right side by 3. So those 3 cancel, and I'm left with t plus 4 is less than 14 times 3 is 42 divided by 6. Okay, so we end up getting, t plus 4 is less than 7. Then we're going to subtract subtract 4. Subtract 4. So t is less than 3. Now some of you guys might have gotten things wrong because you accidentally put the equal to sign or didn't include the equal to sign. So that's an important part of the answer, so I counted it wrong if you didn't have the correct inequality. Alright, let's do a different color here. Alright, number 6. And I wrote that wrong. I gotta add my 5. Okay. So when you're looking at something like this and you've got a whole number and a fraction and then another whole number on the other side, we want to always get rid of as much as we can in the easiest that we can. So we want to get rid of this negative 3 by adding 3. right? So now I'm left with negative k over 5 is greater than or equal to negative 2. Okay, now you could do a couple things. What I would do, especially if you're struggling, is that negative k over 5 is the same thing as negative 1/5 times k is greater than or equal to negative 2. All right, so how do we get rid of a fraction? Remember, you multiply it by its reciprocal. So the reciprocal of negative 1/5 is negative 5 over 1. All you're doing is flipping it upside down, right? Because now my 5's cancel and my 1's cancel. If I multiply the left side by negative 5 over 1, I have to multiply my right side by negative 5, and I can put it over 1. All right, so I get k. Did I multiply by a negative number? I did, so you have to flip the sign. Then negative 2 times negative 5 is a positive 10. A lot of you got this right, but had greater than or equal to. Remember, when you're multiplying by this negative number here, you have to flip the sign. All right, number 7. Same thing. Remember, we have variables on both sides. We always want to try to get positive variables. Just makes it easier. So we're going to, all right, so I'm going to move my variables. I want to go ahead and subtract 2x from these sides because, again, I don't want to have a negative variable. So I get negative 5 is less than or equal to 3x plus 4. All right, so now I'm going to subtract 4, then I get 3x is greater than or equal to negative 9. All right, now to solve for x, I'm going to divide by 3. All right, did I divide by a negative number? No, I did not. So I get x is greater than or equal to negative 3. You can also write it as x is greater than or equal to negative 3. All right, number 8. Okay, what messed people up about this one is that, remember, if you've got this negative sign on the outside, that's like a negative 1, and then you're going to distribute to this one and to that one. So we've got 6x, negative 1 times negative 2x is positive 2x, negative 1 times positive 3 is negative 3, it's greater than or equal to negative, excuse me, 13. Okay, now I'm going to combine like terms. 6x plus 2x, 8x minus 3 is greater than or equal to negative 13. All right, two-step equation, plus 3, I get 8x is greater than or equal to negative 10. All right, divide by 8, I'll put my answer over here. I'm dividing by a positive number, so my sign stays the same. Greater than or equal to 10 over 8. It can also be x is greater than or equal to 5 over 4, or x is greater than or equal to 1.25. And I made one mistake. They should be negative, because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. I accepted any of those 3 answers. All right. That was 8. Okay, number 9. This was a hard one. Okay, so there's a couple ways to do this. The best way, I would say, and I think I saw a lot of people do it this way, is they went ahead and multiplied the right side by 1 over negative 20. The problem with doing that, which is okay, then you end up with 1 over x, and that is equal to negative 8 times negative 1 over 20. Okay, so that would give you positive 8 over 20 is greater than or equal to 1x. Okay, so now from here, you could do your cross products. So you could do 8 times x, which is 8x, equals, oh, not equals, sorry, is less than or equal to, sorry guys, is greater than or equal to 20. Then you divide both sides by 8, so you get x is greater than or equal to 20 over 8, which is 2.5. Okay, that's one way. I'm going to go ahead and show you another way, but this might be one that you might want to come in and talk to me about because it's a little bit hard to deal with. Okay, here's an easier way to do it. If I want to get rid of the negative 20 and separate my x, but I also want to take my x so it's not on the denominator, okay? I'm going to go ahead and multiply this by its reciprocal. So I would have negative x over 20. Okay? So all I'm doing here is if I multiply this side by x over 20, I have to multiply this side by negative x over 20. All right, so that gives me, those cancel out and I get a positive 1, right? Because my negative 20 is cancel and my x's cancel. Okay, now I multiplied by a negative number. That means my sign has to switch. And if I do, excuse me, negative x over 20 multiplied by negative 8, I get x, 8x over 20, right? And I multiply this side by 20 over 8. And I get x is less than or equal to 20 over 8. So you get the same thing. Again, this one was a tough one. So if you're still not understanding, go ahead and come in and see me on this one. All right, number 10. Okay, so don't forget, this means a negative 1. You're going to distribute. So that becomes negative 5x plus 5 is greater than negative 25. We're going to subtract 5, subtract 5. Negative 5x is greater than negative 30. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. Alright, so x, I'm dividing by negative 5, so I have to switch my sign. Negative 30 divided by negative 5 is 6. Alright, let's go to the back. Now, the back is not one that a lot of people had problems with. It was mostly the front. Alright, so 11 says 1/3, should just be 1/3 of a number. So 1/3 of a number, number 11, is 1/3 of a number decreased by 27 is at least 9. So remember, at least 9 is greater than or equal to. Alright, so first step, plus 27, plus 27. 1/3 x is greater than or equal to 36. Right, a lot of you guys got to this part and then divided by 3. Right, remember, we're trying to get rid of this 1/3. So we multiply by 3 over 1, multiply this side by 3 over 1. So we get x is greater than or equal to 36 times 3 is 100, excuse me, and 8. All right. Number 12. This one I believe we had on the homework. Okay, it says twice the sum of a number and 3. So we start off with the sum of a number and 3, and it's twice that. So it's 2 times that entire sum is at most, so at most is less than or equal to 6 times that number less 10. So 6 times that number less 10. Alright, first thing we're going to distribute. 2x plus 6 less than or equal to 6x minus 10. Remember what I said, we want positive variables. So that gives us 6. It's less than or equal to 4x minus 10. I'm going to add 10. So we end up with 4x is greater than or equal to 16. Divide each side by 4. So x is greater than or equal to 4. Alright, number 13. The sum of a number and 56, so this is 13. The sum of a number and 56 is greater than the product of negative 2 in that number, so negative 2x. Right, so we can do a couple things on this. Sorry. All right, so we want to go ahead and do it a couple ways. So let's say I take away x here and I take away x there. So I've got 56 is greater than negative 3x. All right, to get rid of that negative 3, you divide by negative 3. All right, if we divide by negative 3, we have to switch the inequality sign. All right, and when you do this, you should get approximately negative 18.7. So x is greater than negative 18.7. All right, 14. Which graph shows the solution? So I'm going to go ahead and do the solution. 1/5 n, this is 15. Oh no, sorry, that's 14. Okay, 1/5 n is less than or equal to negative 0.5. All right, we're getting rid of this negative 1/5. So we're going to multiply by negative 5 over 1. Negative 5 over 1. All right, cancel, 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 cancel. So it's n. I multiplied by a negative, so I have to flip my sign. Okay, and then negative 0.5 multiplied by 5 is a positive 2.5. So that means your graph has to be an open circle and greater than going that way. Okay, remember that's a positive 2.5. All right, 15. Claudia can spend up to $1,500 on paper for her business this year. That means that she can spend only $1,500. Can she spend more than that? No, so it has to be less than or equal to $1,500. Okay, paper costs $32 per box, so 32p has to be, excuse me, I did that wrong. Okay, so $32 times the number of boxes that you buy has to be less than or equal to $1,500 because she can spend up to $1,500. She can't spend more than that, but she can spend $1,500 or less. So the answer to that one is F.
I'm just going to try to,
All right, this one says you're going to determine the value of x so that the area of the rectangle below is at least 937 square feet. Okay, so let's start with if it's at least, then it's going to be greater than or equal to 937. And the biggest mistake you guys made is remember area is length times width, so it's 3x multiplied by 57. And when you do that, you get 171x is greater than or equal to 937. And you're going to divide each side by 171. And that leaves you with x is greater than or equal to approximately 5.5. Oops, you can't see my 5. 5.5. What a lot of you guys did is you subtracted 57. Okay, you can't subtract 57 if you're multiplying. All right, number 17. Carol is buying asparagus and bananas at the grocery store. So let's first talk about how much can she spend. She can spend $22.50. That means in her pocket, that's all she has. So can she spend more than that or less than that? It has to be less than or equal to that. All right, asparagus are $2.99. So we're going to round that, so 3 times A. And bananas are 49 cents a pound, so we're going to round that to 50 cents. So bananas, whoops. We're going to do 0.5 times bananas. All right, so all you're going to do now is you're going to match. Now remember, if you're talking about at least or at most, you can always get rid of your less than or equal than. Those aren't going to be correct. So you just have to ask yourself, can she spend that amount, or can she spend more than that amount, or less than that amount? All right. 18 was the same as 12. So 19, twice a number is no more than 76 minus the number. So twice a number would be 2 times n is no more than, so that's less than or equal to 76 minus that number. All right, so we're going to add in. So we have 3n is less than or equal to 76. going to divide each side by 3, and you get n is less than or equal to approximately 25.3. Alright, last one. 20. The product of a number n12 is at most 36. Okay, a lot of you guys missed these because you didn't solve. At most is less than or equal to. So you're basically asking what number times 12 gives you 36. So n is less than or equal to 3. Alright, remember you're going to look at the questions you missed, make sure you take the notes, come in and retake your quiz. Alright, you guys have a good night.